Thank you all so much for clicking on this Cowboys vs. Cardinals Monday Night Football preview. I really do appreciate it. Before we dive into that, though, if you're already subscribed, thank you all so much. You are the MVPs. And if you're part of the 50% or so who watch our Cowboys videos but aren't actually subscribed, let's go ahead and get that changed. We're going to keep you covered on everything around the Dallas Cowboys every single day. We have daily videos on America's team. And if you're a Cowboys fan out there who wants to stay up to date on what's going on with your favorite NFL team, well, now is the time to just hit that big red button and subscribe today. It is Cowboys vs. Cardinals on Monday Night Football, and despite the Dallas Cowboys being at home and coming off of a win, they are actually the underdog this week against the Arizona Cardinals, which, with Dak Prescott out, maybe isn't the biggest surprise in the world. The Cowboys sit right now 2-3. They lost week 1 against the Rams, a miracle win against the Falcons, held on and kind of came back at the same time against the Giants, but the defense, as we'll discuss, continues to be a problem, not just in losses, but in wins this year as well. Meanwhile, Arizona actually opened up the season really hot. Beat the 49ers back when they were a little bit more healthy. Beat Washington. Had a letdown game against the Detroit Lions. Then against the Carolina Panthers, they struggled, losing 31-21. And then they took down the Jets in a bit of a bounce-back game, 30-10. That is a big reason why the Cardinals are a favorite this week. 2.5 points. Actually opened at 3. Has been betted down in favor more of the Cowboys. The over-under once again set to be high at 55. I will make note, by the way, the Cowboys this year are 0-5 against the spread. Even when they've won, they were not able to cover the spread against the Giants or the Atlanta Falcons. So what I want you guys to do is, keeping that over-under and the total and all that in mind, is predict the score of the Cowboys against the Cardinals. I'll make my prediction at the very end of today's video, but it will be the pinned comment today. So if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your score prediction in of Cowboys against the Cardinals. Before we dive into some offensive, defensive, and injury updates here, we got to talk about Andy Dalton. He is the next man up for the Cowboys at quarterback with Dak Prescott done for the year after that gruesome ankle injury. Now the Cowboys, they can win with Dalton. That's why they signed him, for this exact situation of, God forbid, Dak Prescott goes down. Can we have more competent quarterback play than Cooper Rush? And that's what Dalton has shown so far this year, and frankly, for much of his NFL career. I think Patrick Peterson said it best earlier this week. He kind of is a starting caliber quarterback, just very much at the low end of it. He's been fine this year. He's been good, made some nice plays. He will make some plays for you. There will be moments in which Andy Dalton makes you go, oh, okay, you know what? That one was actually pretty darn good right there. And you saw some of that in week 1 for the, not week 1, week 5 for the Dallas Cowboys. The problem that I have concerns with is that there's the Dalton line for a reason, and this is Monday Night Football. There's a pretty substantial sample size out there, folks, of Andy Dalton in the playoffs or in prime time. Yes, against better competition for the most part. It ain't good. 61.5% in terms of completion. His yards per attempt is 6.4. That's actually rounded up. That's not good at all. Barely a 20 to 21 TD interception ratio. That's not what you're looking for. Barely above 1. His record in these games is 6-19-1. Yeah, that does not give me confidence for primetime football against the Arizona Cardinals. But because the Giants and Washington football team suck so much, and the Eagles look kind of bad too, I do think the Cowboys can win the NFC East with Andy Dalton. But get your votes in here. Will they do it? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Now, if you feel good about the Cowboys winning the NFC East, go bet on it. Chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code you see on your screen, Cowboys125. That'll get you a 125% deposit bonus. As of right now, the Cowboys are still the betting favorite to win the NFC East. Even money. What that means is if you put down $10 for the Cowboys to win the NFC East, of course, you'll get your initial 10 back and then 10 more on top of that. So the odds aren't that bad. It's clearly the Cowboys or the Eagles there. Go place your bet at chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code again, Cowboys125. $100 deposit is the minimum to get that deposit bonus, but you get $125 to play with as well. So even if you get some bets wrong, you're going to end up being okay. Let's talk injuries now here for the Cowboys and the Cardinals as well. A big blow to Arizona is a blessing for Dallas. Chandler Jones is done for the season. Tore his biceps, will need surgery. I will argue he is the Cardinals' best defensive player, but you can talk Patrick Peterson in there if you want as well. And this does help, by the way, a banged-up Cowboys offensive line. To not have to face Chandler Jones is a good thing for Terrence Steele/Brandon Knight. Now, the Cowboys, meanwhile, might be getting some reinforcements in the very near future. Cam Erving could bring some offensive line depth, but I want to talk more about Leighton, Vander, Esch, and Chidobe Awuzie. We'll begin with LVE, who initially was supposed to miss 6 to 8 weeks or so after the Week 1 collarbone injury. However, he appears to be ahead of schedule in his rehab. The Cowboys have kind of hinted and talked about him being able to play in Week 6 against the Arizona Cardinals. That is an accelerated timeline for him. I would be lying if I didn't worry about LVE having a risk of re-injury. You have to trust the team doctors, but the track record has not been great as of late. Now, Jalen Smith had his best game last week against the Giants that I've seen him play in. It might be over a calendar year at this point. He was that impressive. If you can get Leighton Vander Esch back out there, I think that helps Jalen Smith. You can still rotate in Joe Thomas either with Jalen or more likely with LV, keep him more on a pitch count there. So get your votes in. Do you think Leighton Vander Esch should play this week? I do have some concerns about the injury. At some level, you got to go, well, I'm not a doctor. I have to trust the team, although it didn't work out for Leo Collins or Tyron Smith. But get your votes in. A for yes or B for no. Another big potential return for this Dallas Cowboys team, and we'll see what happens. As a reminder, it is kind of Tuesday in your typical game week since the game's on Monday night. Chidobe Awuzie is also eligible to return from injured reserve this week. As we film this, the Cowboys have not yet activated his practice return window, so we'll see what happens. But the Cowboys kind of need Chido out there. They limited Anthony Brown's workload in his first game back, and again, the secondary continues to struggle. Daryl Worley is a backup at best. Jordan Lewis is up and down and still has not played great this year. Brown had the very critical fumble recovery for a touchdown, but barely played 50% of the snaps against the Giants. Trevon Diggs, by the way, who I tried to warn everyone was going to be up and down. There have been some highs, 3 pass breakups. They've been pretty good ones. Legitimately should have 1 interception. He's also allowed 60% completion percentage and over 300 yards. He's on pace to give up over 1,000 yards this year per the Pro Football Reference coverage stats. That's not good. He was always going to be up and down. He's been put in a hellish spot having to go against number 1 receivers every single week, which is a problem against Arizona. So even though I firmly believe Leighton Vander Esch is the better player and in general is probably a bigger boost to any individual team, with where the Cowboys are at the cornerback depth chart in the secondary, it might actually be Chidobe Awuzie. So I'm curious how you guys vote here. Type LVE for Leighton Vander Esch or type CA for Chido. Let's continue to talk defense here overall for both of these teams, really. In a unique twist, the Cardinals' defense, in terms of the yards and points, have actually been pretty good so far this year. That is a stark contrast to what the Cowboys' defense has put up so far this season. It's been bad. And especially with Dak Prescott out. Defense, it is very simple. It has to be significantly better. If you're holding out hope for a Nick Foles, Andy Dalton type thing like Philadelphia did, the defense has to be better. Because right now, it's a bottom 5 at best unit in the NFL. They were better against the Giants. There were still 34 points allowed. That's not going to work with Dalton at the helm. So if the Cowboys are going to win games with Dalton, which they can do, it does require the defense to drastically improve. Now, on the bright side, the defensive end, or the pass rush, I should say, was better. I thought DeMarcus Lawrence had one of his better games in a significant period of time. I thought Aldon Smith played quite well on top of that. The trouble that I am running into here is the interior of the defensive line is not very good. Dontari Poe looks completely washed up. Neville Gallimore can't stop the run. Antoine Woods is meh. So the DT's a concern. The bright side is the Cardinals' offensive line is not great. I think Mason Cole in particular has kind of struggled. They actually started Lamont Galliard at points this year, and he's been benched. So the pass rush, in theory, should be able to generate some pressure against Kyler Murray. Except here's the problem. How many times in the past couple years have the Cowboys allowed a mobile quarterback to absolutely torch them? I'm concerned about Kyler Murray. He is dynamic on the ground, has had success through the air, has the nicest completion percentage in history. He's going to be a problem. And also, his number one receiver is going to be a problem. DeAndre Hopkins, and now I know Fitz has not been the same guy, and especially compared to his prime. Christian Kirk is whatever. Who's going to stop DeAndre Hopkins? Like, who's going to step up and find a way to emerge against Hopkins? I don't feel particularly great about it, because maybe Chido comes back. Still a mismatch. Trevon Diggs has decent size to go up against Hopkins, but he's been inconsistent. Hopkins can beat any single NFL corner one-on-one. The Cowboys don't even have a number one corner. They got some 2s and 3s at best right now. So Hopkins' matchup this week against the Dallas Cowboys is a major concern. Now, you'll run some zone. You'll probably try and do some bracket stuff as well. But I do not trust this Dallas Cowboys team to stop Hopkins. So get your votes in. Let me know what you guys think here. What's your confidence level in stopping Nuke? Rate this for me on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you think he's going to go for 200 yards and 5 scores. Think Calvin Johnson against the Lions, or with the Lions against the Cowboys way back when. A 10 being you think Trevon Diggs is actually the best corner in the NFL. I don't think I'll see a single 10 in there. It's like offense now, where it's very different for the Cowboys, and these numbers almost go out the window for Dallas because Andy Dalton is simply not as good as Dak Prescott. And the offensive line is a concern, and Dalton has been at his best when there's been a good offensive line and good skill guys, which he had early on in his career with the Cincinnati Bengals. But Dalton's job is now going to be just to distribute the ball to Cooper, Lamb, and Gallup, which he can absolutely do. As long as the offensive line protects him, Dalton will be just fine, if not outright good at times, for this Cowboys offense. And I think against the Cardinals secondary, there is opportunity for playmaking. Look, the Cardinals are not playing Isaiah Simmons because they're making him into a one-spot linebacker, and he's not having much success there because, of course, he's not. That's not who he is. But Drake Kirkpatrick, man. Byron Murphy, promise as a nickel, still raw. I like that matchup for CeeDee Lamb. Now, Patrick Peterson might be able to give Amari Cooper some problems on the outside. And in the past, I've always said, I think it's CeeDee Lamb's week. I think it's Amari Cooper's week. When we've asked who will be the leading receiver for the Cowboys, I've actually not put a single vote in yet this year for Michael Gallup. He's kind of just been the vertical guy for this offense. But maybe with Dalton at the helm, the offense will be modified a little bit, and there'll be a little bit more opportunity for Michael Gallup. I'm still going to be a coward and type in AC, but you guys get your votes in. AC for Cooper, MG for Gallup, CD for CeeDee Lamb. Now, the Cowboys' offensive line will have to be better than what it's been overall this year. And look, they're banged up. Brandon Knight, Terrence Steele are not ideal starters. They played very well, though, against the Giants. In fact, Connor Williams, folks, had his best game ever. That is a very promising sign for a Dallas Cowboys team that I fully expect, whether I agree with it or not, will try to make sure Elliott is utilized a little bit more. The Cowboys' offense was working so well when they let Dak deal because Dak was on fire. He was absolutely balling out. That was the best chance for offensive success. With Andy Dalton at the helm, you might see Zeke get featured a little bit more, especially on the ground, and trying to make life easier on a quarterback who simply isn't as good as the one he's replacing. All right, so as promised, my prediction, you're not going to like it. I think the Cowboys can win. But Monday Night Football, Andy Dalton, the defense has yet to prove anything to me. I'm going to go the Cardinals win this one 27-23. I simply do not have enough faith right now in this organization to believe in them picking up a key win on Monday Night Football. I want to believe, but I'm just not quite there yet.